From the lab next to Galen Center, where we are counting down to tip off just under an hour to USC versus UCLA, the game everyone waits for all season long. This guy has to work in a little bit, so we appreciate you, Chris Capko, USC men's basketball assistant coach, for joining JJ and I. And you know what, why don't you start by explaining, Cap, the way it works in terms of scouting for basketball. So you had the Arizona game, so I'm assuming tonight was not your scout. Right, tonight is what, Tony or Jason's?
Yeah, Tony's scout.
So, but how does it work from an assistant standpoint? What do you do to prepare for one opponent at a time?
Yeah, so obviously with the amount of games throughout the season, Coach Infield can only focus on one game at a time, and we'd be doing our kids a disservice if he looked ahead to UCLA when we're playing Arizona or whatever. So how we do it, and it's not done like this at every staff or every program, but Coach allocates every third game to an assistant. Now, because of the conference schedule and us maintaining, like if, for instance, we play Arizona twice, and it may fall where it's not every third game or something so we can maintain the same scout, it changes up a little bit. But for the most part, we'll do every third scout. So while we're playing UCLA, for instance, Jason will have Washington, I'll have Washington State. Jason's working on Washington, I'm working on Washington State, so now we play UCLA. The next day of practice, we'll watch UCLA and what we can improve on, and then Jason will go to Washington and now brief Coach on it, and now Coach can start to focus his energy and efforts on Washington, and they will game plan, and Jason will be more familiar, and I'll have Washington State, and so on and so forth. So, it helps kind of keep Coach ahead, keeps us ready for the next practice and the next opponent as to maybe little nuances that we can focus on that maybe Coach has seen but hasn't locked into. So,
and to go along with that, let's say tonight, or let's say when it's your game, are you a little bit closer to Coach Infield in terms of, maybe from an advisory standpoint during the game because you've seen a little bit more of the tendencies and paid a little bit more attention to it?
Yeah, you have a little better feel, to be honest with you. The thing about scouts is you'll change certain things from game to game based on their personnel and what you feel you can do differently to prepare for them. But in basketball, you have a set of principles that basically carry you throughout the season, the pace of a game and a season and stuff like that. So, we may do something different, but when things break down, your habits and your principles kind of take over. And the stuff you work on every day from the preseason to the non-conference to the conference and all that stuff kind of takes over. So, even for my scouts, I don't want to say I'm closer to Coach Infield. I may have a better feel for that team and what they may do out of a timeout or something like that. But in terms of when it comes to, we all work as a staff we meet together, even if it's not ours. We show each other what they run, what we need to be prepared for. We join with each other in terms of, hey, how do you think we should prepare for this, or how do you think? So we do a good job, and we have a good chemistry amongst our staff in terms of, keeping everybody in the loop as to what we're doing and trying to get each other's thoughts and opinions to try to get the best game plan that we can. So, you may have a better feel, but I don't want to say I'm any closer to him, whether it's my scout or someone else's scout or something like that. So we all do it together.
And when you look at tonight's matchup, obviously there's a head of the monster in the freshman point guard Lonzo Ball that's changed them. I mean, they were the 10th best team in the league last year. They are not that this year. So what makes him so effective? How, I know you weren't here last year, but how have they transformed from year to year?
Yeah, I think with him, and this is just my opinion, I think it allows Bryce Alford to move off the ball and do what he does best.
Shoot.
Which is shoot, and he's really good at it. Yeah. I think Isaac Hamilton is a really good shooter, and when you got a guy who's really unselfish, and he's constantly, and I think to me, Alonzo Ball, his best trace or his best asset is his passing ability. Yep. He just finds guys, he's unselfish. I think he makes them really good, but I think to me the guy who kind of goes overshadowed is TJ Leaf, because TJ Leaf kind of does the same thing in terms of his passing ability, spacing the floor, can score with his back to the basket. And I think those two guys, I don't want to say have transformed them, but I think they help emphasize what the other two and the returnees kind of do best, and that's shoot the ball and space the floor, and it really helps those two out a lot.
You talk about Alonzo Ball being so important, but when UCLA played Arizona played them the best that anybody has all year, in my opinion. I don't know how you feel, but played them the best. What did they do to limit him? Because he was really limited in that game. He was not the same player for whatever reason. I assume it was Arizona's defense. Yeah,
Arizona, just very, very disciplined defensively. They were really good in transition. And what they did is they kind of said, Lonzo, you're going to score some points today, but we're going to try to limit what these other guys do. And I thought that was really effective. But on top, they just played hard. They competed. I don't think they were ever intimidated. They didn't care what they were ranked and stuff like that. And some of Arizona's kind of culture kind of crept through and kind of helped propel them some things. But they just defended. They made Alonzo kind of become more of a scorer. Mm-hmm. They locked into Bryce Alford, didn't let him get any easy, clean looks. I thought they made Bryce Alford defend. Yeah. And I think that kind of hurt him some on offense. But they just competed. I think that's the biggest thing with anything. They went in there ready, knowing they can win, and competed, and on top of it, they scored. When you score 96 points in Arizona, you're going to defend and always give yourself a chance. So.
Well, when you look at the Trojans in this matchup tonight, Chris, and you're sitting here with Chris Capko, assistant men's basketball coach, is 50 minutes. He'll be all suited up. Mm-hmm. Cap will be looking good on the sideline. Yeah, well, he looks better than me, so I had to try and outshine him for now. But wait till we get inside. When you look at the Trojans, what's the one thing you're going to look at the stat sheet at the end of the night and have some indication on whether you won or lost? What's going to be telling for the Trojans tonight?
Yeah, I think it's going to be both ways. I think it's going to be the 3-point line. I think we can't have like a 3 of 19 3-point performance like we did against Colorado. We have to shoot the ball well. And we can't let them make 19 threes or some outrageous number of threes like they have against Colorado and some of the other teams. So we have to limit them from the 3-point line, and we have to be able to make shots today to give ourselves a chance. I think making shots for us also limits them in transition, the looks that they'll get out. So I think it kind of goes hand in hand. But the 3-point line for both us and for them will be one telling stat as to the outcome of the game.
Yeah, I know that the team last year is different than, of course, obviously the team this year. But I'm really intrigued by mentality going into games. That's just sort of, for me, just competing at any sport at any time. What's this team's mentality going into this game tonight?
We got a young team, but these guys all grew up with these kids over there, so we're not intimidated. They know them from high school. They know them from AAU. They've played against them. They've competed against them. So there's not going to be any factor of just being overwhelmed or in awe or anything like that. And then our guys believe we're 17-4 for a reason. We think we could be even better than that. When a lot of people, when we lost people looked at us like, we're going to have a down year or maybe it won't be as good as what we had thought it would be. But our guys never thought that, and we never thought that. Mm-hmm. And I think our record's pretty indicative of that in our mindset. Then we lose Benny Boatwright. Well, you can't do this without Benny. And guys just keep stepping up. And so I don't think our guys, we're not going to be scared, and there's no disrespect to them. We have a healthy respect for them. We know they're good. We know they're talented. But we're going to come in here and compete and be ready to play just like they were any other team.
All right, this game tips off. If you don't have a ticket, and it's too late if you don't have one, but if you don't, the game will be on FS1, a channel everybody should get and be happy about that. 8 p.m. tip, so we're just 50 minutes away. Thank you, Chris Capko, for the scouting report. Get in there and get it done tonight. Everyone is looking forward to this one. We're going to come back, and JJ and I will wrap things up on Trojans Live.
Thanks, guys.